Jesus freak here. I haven't had the energy to make my cake, and I decided, I wanted to try to make myself something instead of just doing the ice cream cake, the Carvel cake I've been doing for years. So anyway, I got back a little while ago from a couple Christian bookstores that I tend to frequent, and I got these Bibles. This is probably a second-hand or third-hand Bible. It's only very lightly used. There's some asterisks, there's some pencil markings, not much. Now, I can't ascertain the date any more specifically than probably the 1960s. I don't know if there's a way to get more specific than the name of the printer. But as you see, this is Oxford Ruby. Could be as late as the early 70s. I don't think it is. It's simply because of the typography on the box. Epistle dedicatory, table of contents, right into the book, plain text. Right from the old into the new. Of course, the logo says, can I get a focus? The Lord, my illumination. Right into the New Testament. Yeah, some of the gilding is still stuck together, so it hasn't been used all that much. Black letter. This is a ruby, so that means it's a 5.5 point type. But it's good enough on my eyes. If anyone can decipher that code, I think it might be from 75. That's later than I would have expected. It's just bare bones. And the reason I got it was because it had the snap clasp. I currently have a Nelson Bible that I take along everywhere because it has a snap clasp. But I'd rather have an Oxford. Because Oxford texts, as weird as they can be, aren't as weird as Nelson's. And I don't like the font of the Nelson. Okay, here's the other one. Shine some light. This light is definitely failing. But as you could see, This is a Spanish Bible. Nueva Biblia de las Américas is new translation from 2005 that replaced the LBLA that I like. Title page. As you see, Zondi's using the NASB comfort print font on what's basically the Spanish NASB. The preface is basically, as far as I can tell, I haven't really read deep into it, the same kind of stuff you see in the NASB. It says it's based on in the New Testament, 27th edition of Nestle Aland. It's just a basic text. There's footnotes at the bottom right-hand corner of the page. There's a reference suite at the bottom, kind of like you see in Schuyler Bibles. There's some Nelsons that do that too. As is typical of English versions, the word for Lord, or the name, the Tetragrammaton, is rendered with the word for Lord in small capitals. Or alternatively, where that isn't appropriate, the word for God in capitals. This is, again, if you're used to the King James, this is exactly what you expect. As typical of a Lockman translation, if they believe a pronoun refers to deity, they capitalize it. Additionally, citations of the Old Testament are capitalized. Yes, it's a red letter. This was one of only 2 copies of the LBLA they even had. Now, you notice that I mentioned that this text was based on Nestle Aland. A funny thing about that, in a lot of cases where there's a question, they actually went with the traditional reading. For example, there is a Nestle Aland reading here at Mark 1:2, when it says the prophet Isaiah. However, if you look at verse 1, it has the phrase the Son of God, which you don't find in the Nestle Aland text. See this right here, where my finger is? Porque tres son los que dan testimonio en el cielo, el Padre, el Verbo y el Espíritu Santo, Y estos tres son uno. Y tres son los que dan testimonio en la tierra: el espíritu, el agua y la sangre. Y los tres concuerdan. That's the Comma Johannium. There is a footnote about it, but it's there in complete form. For a Nestle Aland based translation, that's quite unusual. There is some back matter. There is a graphic overview of the Bible. I believe some Zondis do have an English version of this. It's actually fairly comprehensive, if brief. There's a topical index. Sort of a concordance, but not really. It's still pretty comprehensive. Plan of salvation. Reading plan. There's a bunch of 2-week themed readings. Then there's a guided reading through that takes you through, it looks like, most of the Bible in about 180 days. And then there's a checklist that says 3 years through the Bible. Followed by 4 pages of note paper and a Spanish version of the current Zondi maps. Let's see. This light is definitely starting to fail. If you can pick up that number. (978-0-8297-70315) if you want to try to order this. It is a super giant print. It says it's 14 point. It also says it matches the paging of the NBLA Minister's Bible, which might be useful. Now, I don't make a habit of using Spanish Bibles, but sometimes I do read from them because they force me to put more effort into understanding them. On account of Spanish is a very different language from English, and while I understand Spanish reasonably well, I am not fluent. Some of you might have seen a video I made where I did one of my Bible readings in Spanish instead of English, and showed you just how non-fluent I am. I'm looking at you, ZD. Anyway, Spanish has the advantage that it is a lot closer grammatically to the biblical languages. Which, I'm not saying it's like them, but because it's descended very directly from Latin, and Latin is grammatically very similar to Greek. In fact, it's partially through through Spanish that I was able to understand biblical Latin somewhat. My cat's rolling around over there on top of the bin my clothes are in. Looking at me. When I came home, before I even came in the apartment, I came into the stairwell between the upper landing and the door to my apartment. And by the time I got to the kitchen door, she was already crying for me. Anyway, Jesus freak out.